Right, Clarets fan reaction. Burnley nil, Leeds United nil. We're very much a team of two halves, aren't we? We're not a team that likes to get forward. We're not an attacking team. Um, it's weird because I'm 100% happy with that point. In the grand scheme of things and on paper, absolutely made up with that point. I'd have taken a 0-0 draw before, before the start of the day. It's another clean sheet, and another still only 9 goals conceded. I know I bang on about it every single week, but it's remarkable at this point in the season. I think that puts Trafford on 19 for the season now, I think. And obviously the club record is 20, so we've still got quite a lot of games left in the season, and he's almost at the club record, which for a goalkeeper who last season was absolutely, I don't want to say he was abysmal, but he wasn't good. And a lad of his age as well, that's going to do his confidence the world of good. And obviously, last year we said that, or I said that there was some, a really good goalkeeper in there, and we're seeing that now this year. I thought he had a good game tonight. He made some good saves. I thought the whole defence did. Obviously, Steve and Egan Riley, they're just another level. And I know Steve got the man of the match on the turf, but for me, Egan Riley could have got it. It could have gone either way. They were both absolutely superb tonight. But like I say, we're a very defensive team, and it's another 0-0 draw. And as much as our defensive record is a great thing, our attacking record isn't. Obviously, nothing against Leeds. They're a very well drilled side, and they're a very good side. And I say every week that every game in the Championship's a hard game, but Leeds is probably the hardest game. Leeds at home is probably the hardest game we've had this season in terms of how well they're pressed, how well they get forward, how comfortable on the ball they are. For large periods of the game tonight, they made us look like the away team. They dominated in possession. I don't know the actual stats, but I feel like their possession stats are going to be much, much higher than ours. But having said that, they haven't created that many clear-cut chances that I can think of in that game tonight. Obviously, there's a couple of good saves from Trafford. There's one that's I can't remember who takes the shot, but it comes down and Trafford just, tips it over the bar, and it might have looked better from my end, from the Jimmy Mack stand, but absolute superb save. But apart from that, I can't really think of any clear-cut chances that Leeds created. But yeah, like I say, we're not an attacking side, and I think that it comes down to a few different issues, personnel-wise. Foster, I don't know what's wrong with him. I don't know how to feel about him, because obviously he's had his mental health issues, and you always sort of want to caveat that with, there's nothing against the lad. And I feel like I talk about him nearly every week, because nearly every week he puts in a performance that isn't good enough for me. He's our number one striker, really. All right, he's being played out of position at the moment, and he has done since he came back from his injury. But he's our number one striker, and he's still only got one league goal this season. Which, to put it into perspective, Jay Rodriguez, who before the start of the season we were told was past it, has 2, and Josh Brownhill, who a lot of people say isn't good enough, and tonight he wasn't. but a lot of people say that Josh Brownhill isn't good enough. He's got more goals this season than Lyle Foster. So, it's one of them, but I've seen enough of him in a Burnley shirt to know that I don't want to see him in one again. Or at least until he's had a kick up the arse, because for me he's not good enough, and I think it speaks volumes that his best game in a Burnley shirt for me was Reading in the Cup, where it was against League One opposition. But to continue with that, like Fleming tonight was, all right. Again, we say he's playing out of position, so you do give him a little bit of leeway, but he's played in that position for most of the season now, and he's managed to get 8 goals away from home. So, there's obviously something in it with him being played in that position. But tonight he just wasn't on it, and his first touch was awful, and he couldn't trap a ball, and we're booting the ball up field to him, like a long ball upfield to him, and he can't win the header. And all right, it was being manhandled quite a lot of the time by the Leeds players, but he just can't win a header. And for me, that's not his best position, and we didn't play to his strengths really, but he didn't really get many chances, and for me, again, he just wasn't good enough tonight. I thought Anthony put in a hell of a shift tonight, though. Having said that, especially like with the defensive side of the game, but even going forward, I thought he was one of the only players on the pitch who seemed to understand the enormity of the game and understand how much we need to attack Leeds. But yeah, I thought he had a great game tonight, especially in terms of putting in that defensive work. Maybe not going forward, and maybe not with his final ball. I think maybe that was a little bit sloppy, but yeah, I do think he had a good game tonight. Cullen, he had moments in the game where I thought he was absolutely brilliant, and then he had moments where you're thinking, just what are you doing? But I feel like that was the case with the whole midfield. I thought Brownhill tonight was, I've backed him a lot this season, and a lot of people say that he's a passenger in games, and sometimes I've not agreed with that this season, but tonight he was. Again, he had his moments, but for the most part, he just wasn't good enough. And Laurent, I'd probably say that was his worst game in the Burnley shirt, which, coming off the back of obviously the Plymouth game where he's got his first 2 goals for the club, it was a bit of a shock. But you can't be on your game all the time, and I think he has been outstanding this season. So don't want to knock the lad. But even the substitutions, Sarmiento came on, and I honestly can't really remember him touching the ball other than a couple of nice little touches, passing it round. But apart from that, I can't remember him touching the ball. And Hannibal came on, and again, same thing. But we've made these substitutions a bit too late, and by this point, the game's not almost gone, because, it can go to the final whistle. But the time we've made the substitutions, just, we was crying out for him earlier in the game. At half-time, I'd have taken Foster and Brownhill off and brought Hannibal on for Brownhill, but we were screaming out for Koleosho, and I thought he was unlucky not to get a chance on the pitch tonight, because it screamed for Koleosho for me tonight. But yeah, it's like I say, it's a big point on the grand scheme of things. We've now really only got Sheffield United left to play at home, and then every team other than that are sort of the teams. Well, they are the teams below us, but are sort of the teams that we'd expect to get a result against. No disrespect to those teams, obviously, but these are the teams that we'd expect to get results against. So it's another good point. Obviously, like I say, another clean sheet. Still only 9 goals conceded. But yeah, we've got big games coming up now. So we just need to see out the rest of this transfer window. We desperately, desperately need a striker. We desperately, desperately need someone who can play on that wing, because Foster's not the answer for me. And if you're not going to play Koleosho there, Sarmiento for me is the 10. So he's ineffective on the wing, really, for me. So yeah, I feel like we need another striker, we need another winger. Obviously, we don't know the situation with Egan Riley. We don't know the situation with Brownhill and Roberts. Hopefully, they'll sign the new contract soon that they have supposedly been offered. But yeah, we just got to get a striker and a winger in this transfer window, and just back the team. Alan, if you're watching, which I don't think you will be, but if you are, put some money in the team. We have faith in you. I've got faith in you to get us back in the Premier League. I've got faith in Scott to get us back in the Premier League, but we need some more players. We need not mercenary players, but we need some more players who can fire us there, because at the minute what we've got isn't the greatest. We're not going to be world beaters. But I'm happy. Like I say, I'd have taken a point before the game tonight, and I'd have taken a 0-0 draw. So happy with the point. Little bit disappointed with the performance and the lack of attacking intent and the lack of intent to go for goal. But like I say, yeah, happy with the point, happy with the clean sheet. Big games coming up. Let's back the boys, up the Clarets.